Hi and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. I'm going to be using the promotional products from the Snowflake Showcase. That is a mouthful. These products are only available in November or while supplies last. Here's the card we're going to be creating today. Beautiful tones of blue for a pretty wintry feel. I'm also going to give you some tips about gradient stampings to get some different shades and some fun uses for the ribbon. Since this promotion includes two different stamp sets, one for the holidays and one outside of the holidays, a beautiful set of dies, incredible snowflake trinkets, and beautiful velveteen paper, I thought you might enjoy some additional inspiration if you make a qualifying purchase in my online store for these promotional products. I'm going to send to you for free a bonus tutorial that includes 9 additional projects using these supplies. You'll find a link down in the description of this video below that will lead you to more information about that, as well as the pictures and the cutting dimensions for today's project. Let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started. Look how pretty this card is with these different shades of blue, and believe it or not, this is Bermuda Bay. Definitely more of a tealy blue, but that striking difference in the color really brings out some sparkle, doesn't it? I'm going to start by embossing a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm going to be using the Softly Falling embossing folder. We'll go ahead and slip that inside. I've got my Big Shot here and the Big Shot platform. Grabbing one of my clear plates to put on the bottom to protect it, and then we'll put the embossing folder with the paper next, and then a clear mat over the top. Be very careful when you're using these folders in your Big Shot because they are 6 by 6, which is the exact same width of your Big Shot. And then go ahead and once your sides are cleared, crank it through. I'll mount this embossed piece onto a base of Whisper White cardstock. This measures 4 1/4 by 11. I went ahead and scored it right before you joined me, and I'm going to use that bone folder for a nice crisp edge. I am going to use dimensionals to mount this to the base of my card because I want a little bit of elevation on this overall design. So I'm going to be very generous with these. I'm going to place 1 in each of the 4 corners. Then I'll also place 2 here towards the center and on the outside edges as well. And you know what? Let's go ahead and add them here as well. I'm very cognizant about using a balanced number of dimensionals. And the reason is I'm going to be placing this in the mail. And I want to make sure that when it goes through the postage machine at the post office that it doesn't come out sagging, especially in the center. Now, if you're having difficulty getting off the paper backing, let me give you a tip about that because I know I do often. Take your fingernail and press in the center of the paper, and that's going to help lift the outside edge for you to get that paper off a lot easier. That's just a quick tip for you. And then I'm going to take this and I'm going to center this on the front of that card base. I've got a piece of Whisper White cardstock here. This one's a little bit smaller, and I'm going to bring in a scrap piece of paper next to me. I'm going to do a little bit of stamping off. Obviously, you can use your grid paper. I'm not doing that today just because I know it's a little distracting in the video. I've mounted this beautiful snowfall image. I want to show it to you here in the stamp set. It's called Snow is Glistening. It's here at the top. Really pretty, isn't it? What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a cascade of a little waterfall of snowflakes here at the top. And I want to do that in a subtle manner because I don't want to take away from the rest of my card. I'm going to be using the Pool Party ink pad, and I'll go ahead and ink that up. And I'm going to stamp off a layer of ink here on my scratch paper. And then what I'm going to do is working here at the top of my card, I am going to stamp that image, and I'm going to press hard because I want to make sure that I get whatever residual ink is there out. So I'll go ahead and I'll ink that up again, and then I'll stamp off again. And I'm going to put another matching image next to it. With this being photopolymer, this makes it really easy to use because you can see where you're going. Also part of that stamp set are some really pretty snowflakes and of course this gorgeous tree. The sentiments and the font are really stylish. I've got the larger of the snowflakes here, and I'm going to ink that up in that same Pool Party ink. And I'm going to concentrate on this left corner. So I'm going to stamp that here. I'm going to switch over to the Bermuda Bay ink. And this time I've pulled out the other 2 smaller snowflakes that are in that stamp set. So I'm going to go ahead and ink up the medium size one. I'm going to concentrate that one here and a little bit here. Don't be afraid to work off the cardstock. You want to look for kind of that wallpaper type look. And the smaller one, we're going to ink this one up, and I'm going to stamp that one down here in the corner. I'm going to be using basic gray for the greeting, and I've chosen the greeting that reads, "Sending a blizzard of wishes for a wonderful season." So go ahead and ink that up in the basic gray. I'm going to be using the Snowfall Thinlits. This is part of the promotional products as well. Look how big this die set is. Lots and lots of pieces here. The great thing about this is you're going to find that these smaller snowflakes, that there's multiples of the same image, that you can die cut numerous at a time, which is going to work out really great for this card. So I'm going to go ahead and pull off the smaller ones because I'm going to put 3 on my card. The snowflake here is slightly different and slightly larger. I wanted to make sure I pointed that out. The great thing too about this die set is not only is it going to make snowflakes, but if you look here, you're going to see that these are really reminiscent of flowers, which are going to work wonderfully with the coordinating stamp set that goes with this promotional product. I have my magnetic platform here. That's just my platform of choice when I'm using metal dies to help hold them in place. Putting a clear mat over the top to protect that. And this is the velveteen paper. Now I know it looks like regular paper because of the video, but I don't know if you can hear that or not. It's got a beautiful matte velvet finish. I prefer to die cut with the velvet portion down. Several reasons. The first reason is that I find that it's going to be easier for me to get the pieces out if I have to do some poking from the back, so that marring won't show on the front. The other thing is if you decide to use your Big Shot die brush, you can be a little bit more vigorous on this side, not worrying about damaging it. Lastly, I find that I can make sure that they're cut all the way through on the wrong side versus the velvet side. Remember, every Big Shot is different, so the rollers in yours might be tighter than mine. I know mine is going to need to be cranked there and back in order for it to cut all the way through. And you'll just need to experiment with your Big Shot. I'm going to bring in my silicone mat so that you can see. It's not unusual for a die that is small or for paper that has a texture to it for the paper to stick inside. I like to use my Take Your Pick pickup tool, and I've used the interchangeable end with the piercing tool. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and just give this a little bit of a poke. And you're going to see that it's going to dislodge very, very easily. You're going to want to be careful because it's pretty intricate. And then I'll do the same thing with this one. I die cut a third right before you joined me for the video. And we're going to go ahead and attach those here to that cardstock. And I'm going to use the multi-purpose liquid glue. I find this works really, really well. It's really kind of a small area for a glue dot. I didn't have good success with that. So I'm going to make sure that my velveteen side is facing down. And I'm going to work with one at a time. It's not important that you cover the entire snowflake. You just want to tack it down. I like to get my liquid glue started here on my silicone craft sheet. Glue, adhesive, and hot glue will not stick to this, which makes it ideal for your work surface. You don't have to worry about leaving a sticky residue behind when you're working on your project or other projects behind it. I'm going to start here and I'm just going to put small drops in just varying places. And then I'll take my pickup tool and I'll just use that paper piercing side to help me lift it. And I'm going to put 3 of these on. So I'm going to put one here near the top. This one I'm going to put a little bit further down here. I'm just going to kind of tack that in place. And that last one I'm going to put down here near the bottom. I'll press those down and I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to rub from the back. You'll see that there's a little glue here that dried previously. All you have to do is just rub it away. This is a great product for your craft room. And with the holidays coming, if you have a crafter on your gift list, this would be a great stocking stuffer. Here at the card base, I want to add some beautiful Pool Party shimmer ribbon. I don't think you can appreciate this in the video, but it is gorgeous. Just as a tip, if you want to do this zigzag pattern, you're going to measure 3 times the width of the paper that you're going to be using. And the other tip is this, Scotch tape. That's going to make it a lot easier. I've tried glue dots and quite frankly, it's pretty cumbersome. So I'm just going to go back and forth. And then once I'm happy with where it's at, I'm going to hold it in place and I'll put my tape right across the center to hold it. Keep in mind that this area is going to have to be big enough to cover that tape because you don't want that to be visible. So here we've got our image. I'm going to flip that upside down, grabbing my dimensionals, and I will put one in each of those 4 corners. And I will put one in the center. And then just like before, we'll take off those paper backing. And then this is going to go right over the top. I'm just going to center it the best that I can. But you know what? If you agree with me, these might be a little bit difficult to see from a distance. Now I know up close I can touch and feel them. They're really pretty. But I wanted to add a little bit of bling. But I wanted to coordinate with my project. So I'm going to be coloring my rhinestones with the light Bermuda Bay Stampin' Blends. The alcohol-based marker will create a permanent finish on your accessories, which is going to be beautiful on top of those snowflakes. I'm going to be using the brush end, which is the thicker line or the thicker tip. You'll see that this one is thin, to color these. Be very careful with the tip. You want to make sure that you don't damage it by being too aggressive by coloring any rough accessories. The rhinestones are not necessarily rough, but they do have uneven edges because they're faceted. So I'm kind of just dabbing the ink on there. And because it has an alcohol base, it's going to dry very, very quickly. And I'm going to go ahead and use that paper piercing tool again. There are glue dots already on the back. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to add those to the center of each of those snowflakes. Isn't that pretty? And it's so stunning. Remember that if you're interested in the suite of products, that would be the Snow is Glistening stamp set, the 2-sheet set of the Snowfall Thinlits, or the coordinating non-holiday stamps, the snowflake trinkets, or this beautiful velveteen paper. I'm offering a bonus of 9 tutorials with your qualifying purchase. Click on the link below so that you can get information. If you're here from YouTube, I'd love for you to subscribe so you don't miss any of the amazing things I'll be sharing as we are working through the holiday season. And if you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you're interested in obtaining a complimentary copy of the annual or the holiday catalog, I would be more than happy to send you one. Just leave me a comment below. Thanks so much for joining me, everyone. I look forward to seeing you next time. Have a great day.